This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Education Ministry unable to say when face-to-face school will resume. The Ministry of Education says it cannot give a date for the resumption of face-to-face classes in the public school system. Acting Chief Education Officer Dr. Kassan Troop says the ministry is awaiting the outcome of cabinet discussions. The Education Ministry had given a mid-October return to physical classes for high school students if the majority was fully vaccinated. Speaking with the news, Dr. Troop said the ministry should be guided very soon as to the way forward after it concludes talks with the Ministry of Health.
We are in discussion with the Ministry of Health on this matter. As you can appreciate, we are in a health crisis, and so we have to be guided by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The positivity rate is still high, as you can see. I think the last time it was 17 point something, so that is still high. But nonetheless, we have commenced a discussion with the Ministry of Health, and the Cabinet is deliberating, and we should be guided very soon as to the way forward concerning face-to-face with respect to our primary schools and our high school at a later date. The Ministry of Health will deploy again the parish health inspectors to our learning institutions just to double check and to make sure that the conditions are safe for learning and to keep everybody, include our staff and students, very safe. Once they have done that and they have given us the green light, then it is for our school administrators to discuss with their parents now a likely start-up date, arriving at a consensus, given that parents will need time, as you would have indicated in the case of Aki, to prepare themselves for the physical environment.
Jamaica sends home 3 of 4 Haitian fishermen. 3 of 4 fishermen whose boat landed in Portland on August 3 were this morning returned to Haiti. The 4th man was not allowed to board the plane because of the pilot's concern that they would be flying without an escort from the police or passport immigration and the citizenship agency. 26-year-old Simeon Mickenson will remain in Kingston until another flight is secured. The 3 who left the country are 34-year-old Acne Jocelyn, 56-year-old William St. Flor, and the 35-year-old Waywent Thelome. The 4 who came ashore along the Spring Garden shoreline in Buff Bay went before the Portland Parish Court on September 24 to answer to charges of illegal entry. They all pleaded guilty and were each fined $5,000 or 15 days. Education Ministry resuming initiative to locate disengaged students. The Ministry of Education says by mid-November it will be ready to restart the process of locating students who have not attended classes since the pandemic struck last year March. It has been dubbed the Yard-to-Yard Finding the Child Initiative. This is a continuation of the Recover Smarter National School Learning and Intervention Plan. The matter was discussed on Tuesday morning as the Public Administration and Appropriations Committee reviewed the first supplementary estimates of expenditure. Acting Permanent Secretary Dr. Grace McLean said the aim of the Yard-to-Yard Finding the Child Initiative is to locate about 25,000 students with whom no school contact has been made since March last year.
So, as we had indicated, we are far advanced in terms of the completion of the framework document to guide this implementation. And a part of the questions that we will ask the parents would be what would be preventing these children from coming to school, and based on the responses they provide and the categories they fall in, whether they are students on path or whatever other category, we will try to analyze the data to see how best the support can be provided. There is a customer service module that the Heart Trust NTA has that we will have them trained for a couple of days and ensure that they receive the appropriate guidance and assessment, and then they will work through the schools in terms of the school being the base and going out into the communities in and around. Of course, they will be provided with the necessary support in terms of data collection We are in the process of creating an app that will allow us to have the information being readily available for analysis purposes.
The Ministry of Education has said students from 600 schools will be targeted. The schools reported that up to 60% of their student population is unaccounted for. 2 injured after taxis collide on Halfway Tree Road. A call is being made to motorists to drive carefully after a 2-vehicle collision on Halfway Tree Road in St. Andrew on Tuesday morning. Them fi take time. I saw them behave when it come on to Christmas, said an onlooker at the scene. Reports indicate that 2 women were rushed to the hospital after 2 Hackney carriage operators who were driving white Probox motor cars collided sometime after 10. Both drivers were traveling in the opposite direction. According to one of the operators, 68-year-old Lloyd Baker, who was coming from Crossroads, he was trying not to hit another vehicle when the taxi operator from the opposite direction was coming at a high speed. Them give me the wrong cause me come over. Me never did a overtake. A man come way over in the road pa me, and me a try to ship from him. Never know it would have caused such a terrible accident. So I swing from him now, cause me see the other man never did a stop, and this taxi man now a come down with a speed. If him saw me coming over, all he should have done was to step on his brake, he said, noting that 4 passengers were in his vehicle. The other taxi operator had no passengers. One onlooker from a nearby business told the news that she was in her office when she heard a loud noise. I heard this big bang, so I rushed out. When I rushed out, I see these 2 taxis collided, she said. Noting that 2 women were seriously hurt from the crash, the onlooker said one was bleeding very badly, her face mashed up, and the other next to her was lying on the ground like something to her foot. If you go out there right now, you see the blood. And me have to say, no man, we have to help them. I get to understand that Baker was overtaken. 2 men on a bike said it's a long time them are watching from him coming up, because they say it's a long time him overtaken. We get to put the ladies in a vehicle and the driver rushed with them to public, she said. Police at the scene were tight-lipped about the accident, noting that there was nothing to disclose. Tourists opting to stay at hotels with high vaccination rates among staff, said the JHTA. The Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association says there are indications that some tourists are opting to stay at local hotels with high vaccination rates among staff. JHTA President Clifton Reeder, who made the disclosure on Tuesday while speaking with the news, revealed that the association is now focused on increasing vaccination among hotel workers and having safe working environments to prevent further fallout in the sector. He noted that the industry has done fairly well so far, but must step up efforts amid the threat of losing visitors.
The industry on a whole has done fairly well, but with the call from many visitors and the threat of losing groups as far as January out, because especially with groups, they are coming down from companies and the companies are somewhat liable at times, and they don't want their people to get sick in Jamaica, having problems, so they prefer to go to properties that basically have very high vaccination rates, and it's something that we're looking at. Also, the most important part of it, as far as JHT is concerned, is the fact that we have to keep safe work environments. Right now, we are looking at maybe the next 2 months or so, going, because we want to make sure that we have at least herd immunity as soon as we start the winter season, December 15th. So I would set a target of 70% for the industry going into the winter season. And I think that would be a reasonable figure to have. And I think with the spread that some properties will be 90, 80, whatever, we won't see a decline in people coming to Jamaica as a result of our lack of vaccination.
Buju Banton's daughter reported missing. Abigail Mary, the daughter of reggae icon Buju Banton, has been reported missing. According to a release from the police, 21-year-old Mary, who is of a Westmead, Belgrade Heights, Kingston 19 address, has been missing since Saturday, October 9. She is of dark complexion, slim build, and is about 172 centimeters or 5 feet 8 inches tall. Reports are that Mary was last seen at home. Her mode of dress at the time she went missing is unknown. She has not been heard from since. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Abigail Mary is being asked to contact the Constant Spring Police at 876-924-1421, 119 Police Emergency Number, or the nearest police station. The social media account belonging to Mary has, however, been abuzz with activity throughout Tuesday. In a post and delete earlier in the day, the account shared photos of a woman's neck with what appears to be bruises. The accompanying caption alleges abuse at the hands of a family member. In another post made on the page, a screenshot of a conversation seemingly between Mary and the sibling further alleges abuse at the hands of the family member. Indicom investigating fatal shooting at house of former police commissioner. The Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom is probing the fatal shooting of an intruder at the home of a former commissioner of police in St. Catherine on Monday evening. The news was informed that a police team went to the house after receiving information that a burglar had entered. It's reported that one of the policemen was injured when he was attacked and chopped on the hand by the intruder. The policemen called for assistance. The intruder was fatally shot during an alleged confrontation. The former police commissioner was not at the house during the incident. 72 new COVID-19 cases, 9 additional deaths. 9 more COVID-19 fatalities have been recorded in Jamaica, increasing the tally to 2,034. Those who have died are a 46-year-old woman from St. Elizabeth, a 41-year-old woman from St. Catherine, a 46-year-old man from Clarendon, a 65-year-old woman from St. Catherine, a 35-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 68-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew, a 55-year-old man from St. Elizabeth, a 57-year-old man from St. Catherine, and a 69-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew. The Ministry of Health says the deaths occurred between September 18 and October 11, and 1 more fatality is under investigation, moving that figure to 317. Meanwhile, there were 72 new cases with ages ranging from 11 days to 97 years, pushing the total to 86,456, with 29,264 being active. Of the new cases, 34 are men and 38 are women. The parish breakdown is as follows: Kingston and St. Andrew 22, St. Catherine 14, St. James 14, Clarendon 6, Hanover 4, Westmoreland 3, Trelawney 3, Manchester 2, St. Thomas 2, St. Anne 2, St. Elizabeth, Portland, and St. Mary recorded no new cases. A total of 802 tests were conducted. The country's positivity rate stands at 13.2%. In the meantime, there were 145 more recoveries, increasing the total to 54,569. Some 391 persons are in hospital, with 94 being moderately ill, 52 severely ill, and 31 critically ill. 4 persons are in government quarantine, while 34,598 are at home. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.